Today I'm going to see if I can change out this screen off of a Acer Iconia W700. The screen, as you can see, has a big old bubble up here in the upper right corner. I sent this off to Acer in early 2016 to have them fix it. They came back to me and said, sorry, we don't have the parts to fix the W700 screens anymore. When I got it back, there was a second bubble down here. Now the bubbles don't do anything to affect the functionality. As near as I can tell, the bubbles are in some kind of a liquid that's behind the digitizer plate in front and in front of the LCD behind it. They tend to move around, so there's some kind of a liquid in there that's getting some air in it. Normally what I would do is just sell this for parts on eBay and buy a new one. Unfortunately, this is a controller for my wife's long arm quilting machine, and the manufacturer makes no provision at all for an end user to uninstall the software and reinstall it on a new machine, nor will they do it themselves. So I'm pretty much locked into having to replace the screen. And there's a couple of ways to replace the screen. I ended up buying off of eBay the screen itself from a company called LCD OLED-Shop in Hong Kong for $99. They did a real good job of packing it. Here's the screen. I don't think anybody could have damaged the screen unless they'd stomped on it repeatedly. That's probably the best packing job I've seen. The other way to do it would be just to buy a W700 that has a good screen and just swap out the whole screen assembly. That would be a much easier way to do it and probably end up costing about the same, but we're going to replace the screen today. So first we'll turn it off, and then on the back side there is a strip, and you can see I've already removed the plastic strip. It goes in there like so, and I used a little X-Acto blade with a chisel on it. There's a combination of little tabs in here and some double-sided sticky tape, so you just have to work your way on this, kind of getting in there and wedging it up slowly all the way across. So once that's off, there are two screws in here. So it looks like a number one screwdriver will remove those. So let me pull those out. There's one. Unfortunately, they're pretty good size, so not much chance of losing them even if they fall on the floor. There's the other one, but I'm going to tape them down because every once in a while I smack something and I don't want it shooting away off the table. Alright, so now I've got them out. Now we have to find a way to separate the screen. So I'm going to try pushing from the back and seeing if I can get a corner out. And it looks like I can. Barely. And that one comes out too. So I have some tools that came from a replacement of a cell phone battery. So let me see if I can shove that in there. Let's try the other corner here. That seems to have a little bit more give to it. Now what we need to do is gradually work around the top here and see if I can get it out. Yeah. It's going to be a little stubborn. There is a little bit of a lip on it here. Okay, so it's apart now with a guitar pick somewhere on the inside, and I see there's a little connector in there. So I've got a connector on the bottom and a connector on the top. I'm not quite sure how the connector on the top works. I'm going to have to get a magnifying glass and a flashlight here to inspect that. So I pulled this connector out. It just pulls straight out. You have to grab it by the body, there's a little tab here that's just a little piece of fabric, and just pull that out. And that allows me to flop this open. And now you see here's the battery, the motherboard, here's the screen. And when I look at my new screen here, it looks like I've got a plastic screen assembly that I've got to get off. Got some other little gizzies along the top here, so it looks like, and there's a driver board, that I'm going to need to take quite a few things off of the old one, starting with this board. Let's see, this board, there's a little bracket up here at the top, and that goes to the webcam, so this is for the front webcam, and then there's some grounding strap, and then this plastic bezel around it, which I'm guessing is attached with double-sided sticky tape. All right, so the next thing to do is let's pull this off and put the motherboard aside. So I'm just trying to be careful here. I only take off the pieces I need to take off. And this looks like it's taped on to this. All right. So I need to take a look and see how we can get that little circuit board off. You can look at the labels. The labels are almost identical. It looks like this one says manufactured, the one that was installed in the tablet is manufactured 1244. This is manufactured 1236. Not quite sure how to interpret that. And they are slightly different model numbers. So hopefully it works, but it looks like it was manufactured by the same company. At least they made the same labels. Okay, looks like. Let's see if we can remove this tape first. So there's one piece of tape. And here's another plug, but I'm not going to pull that out until I figure out what's going on here with this second tape. Okay, so this second is marked panel, so I'm guessing that's the touch panel. All right, this one just pulled straight out. Let's take this tape off here. And I can see already the plug is trying to come out. Right, and the panel, that unplugs. So now we have the motherboard separated, so we'll set the motherboard aside. Now we have a video driver board here, it looks like. And so there's tape over here on the right-hand side. So I decided to pull the tape off of the back here because I could see something was going on here, maybe a grounding tape or something. So now this on my new one, I just have that. So somehow need to pull that out. It looks like maybe some double-sided tape holding that on. So they don't make it easy. It looks like the tape might even be stronger than this very thin circuit board, so I'm trying to be very careful here. Okay, these two appear to be the little flip-up type of adapters, connectors. So if I can get that off, pull that. So, see there's little flip-up guys there. So now those are off. So I seem to have everything off of there. Now let's take a look up here. We have the webcam with more double-sided tape. Okay, this looks just like a small inductor here for that. That was just slightly glued up there. So that's off. And the last thing is this little foil tape. All right, now we have everything off. Now we need to try to separate this plastic bezel from the front. So what I'm going to try to do now is to warm it up enough with a heat gun that I can soften the tape, the glue on the tape that's holding the touch screen to this plastic bezel. And we'll see how successful I can be with that. I certainly don't want to ruin the plastic bezel, because if you ruin that, you're sunk. So I've got a heat gun, and I'm not quite sure how much heat to apply to this. This is glass, but this bezel around it is plastic. So I'm going to start up here in a corner and just stick this on low and apply the heat to on the glass side and see what it takes to loosen it up. And I have noticed immediately here that this plastic doesn't like the heat. It's definitely starting to deform. So I'm going to try to do this without any heat. So this plastic is really more like rubber, so what I'm doing is just going along the inside here, trying to separate the tape from the plastic. And you can see the tape coming off there. This is going to be a long process. One thing you need to watch out for is if you ever think you're going to use this again, watch out when you're cutting this segment, because you can see right here, I cut that, so this panel's never going to work again. Okay, we have the plastic bezel off. And a now non-functional screen because of this tear down here. I'm going to see if I can clean up some of this glue off of the bezel. When I have the new bezel cleaned up, or the old bezel cleaned up, and the new screen, and it's going to fit in there just like that. But I need to put some double-sided sticky tape. So I got some 4mm tape on here, which is probably the right size for the bottom, but looks like I'll need to double it up on the top and the side. So now I'm going to put some of that on. And one thing you have to watch out for is there are some holes in the screen to pass light. There's one here and then for the webcam up here, so you don't want to put any tape over that. Okay, all the tape is on now. I've got it all the way around except for where this big connector is. I didn't want to risk putting tape there and then trying to trim it around the connector. So now I just need to peel off the backing. Now the backing's off. Let's see if we can get this fitted correctly. This is the trickiest part down here. Okay, that seems to have worked. Well, let's start putting it back together and see how far we get. This is the webcam. Next, we have the video driver. So this one's a little harder to get in. Seems to be in all the way. So the last piece is this little copper, and it's lost most of its stickiness, so I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided tape on there to hold it down. I'm also going to put a little bit of Scotch tape over here where this affixed to the back of it. I don't have any glue that's conductive, so I'm assuming that's the reason that's in here, so we'll just put a little tape on top of it. So now I think we have our screen assembly to the point where we can attach it. So here's our motherboard. So the first thing we have is this little plug for the digitizer. And that's held in with some tape. This is just a little plug. The little plug goes back in there, and then we had some kept-on tape that held the whole thing down. Well, I don't happen to have any kept-on tape, so we're just going to reuse this piece. Now, that goes over here. needs to plug in right here, if I can grab hold of it. Okay, so now it should work. Before I snap all this back and have to reopen it again, I'm going to check and make sure. Okay, that's a good sign. And there you are. We have a screen with no bubbles. So let me shut this back down again and snap it all into place. So now what we need to do is put this screen back in, making sure nothing gets pinched in the process. Okay, the screen's back together. And even that area over here in the corner that got a little bit deformed is okay. So I guess that's a tip for you, is don't try to use a heat gun on it. Now let's see about the back here. So the back had some stickiness in it. There's some right there, a little bit there, and a little bit over here. So I'm going to add just a couple little pieces to hold it in case I have to open this thing up again. Okay, that's done. And one last thing is just to peel this label off, the cover off of the LCD, and we have a brand new LCD on a tablet that looks more or less like new.